Something is shaking the foundation of Joyce Meyer Ministries, and it's something no one, not even her most loyal followers, ever saw coming. After nearly 2 decades on Daystar Television Network, Joyce Meyer didn't just step back. She vanished. No farewell message. No gentle transition. Just a sudden silence that set off alarm bells across the Christian world. But behind that silence lies a story far bigger than a programming change. Leaked documents hint at allegations so dark, so deeply personal, that they strike at the very core of what Joyce Meyer has spent her entire life fighting against. This time it's not about money, it's about truth, trauma, and survival. To understand why this moment shook her ministry, you have to go all the way back to the beginning, to the life of Pauline Joyce Hutchison. Born on June 4, 1943 in South St. Louis, World War II was raging when she entered the world, and her family lived in a neighborhood where people were doing their best to survive. But inside her home, survival meant something different. Her father, a machinist, was drafted on the very day she was born. He disappeared into the war for 3 long years. But when he walked back into the house in 1946, the war had come home with him. He drank too much, talked too little, and carried an anger that filled every room he entered. The emotional weight inside that home became the ground Joyce's childhood was built on. Then, around the age of 5, her father's anger turned into control, and soon after, into abuse. She watched other kids play freely in the neighborhood, while she lived inside a house where even the smallest mistake brought punishment. By the time she was 10, she was enduring weekly sexual abuse. She would later say it happened more than 200 times before she turned 18. Her mother stayed silent through it all, trapped in her own fear. And that silence became one of the deepest scars Joyce carried. Still, even in the overwhelming darkness of her childhood, a flicker of light managed to break through. At just 9 years old, sitting in a quiet classroom in South St. Louis, she opened the Bible entirely on her own, not because someone told her to, but because something inside her was desperate for comfort. As she read, she felt something she had never experienced in her own home. Warmth, peace, maybe even hope. That moment changed her. She became a born-again Christian, believing that faith might protect her or lift the weight she carried. But when she went back home, nothing shifted. If anything, the abuse grew heavier, the silence sharper, and the loneliness more suffocating. At 18, Joyce finally made the decision that saved her life. She walked out of that house in 1961 with nothing but fear, brokenness, and a fierce will to survive. She took a job as a secretary at a local insurance company and worked long hours just to keep herself afloat. But trauma doesn't disappear simply because you walk away from the place it happened. The emotional scars followed her everywhere. Her first marriage only deepened those wounds. The man she married turned out to be a liar, a thief, and a cheater. At one point, he stranded her across the country with nothing but a dime and a carton of empty soda bottles. After 5 painful years, the marriage collapsed, leaving her even more damaged than before. By 22, she had given birth to her daughter Lavra, was living in a cramped apartment, and working full-time as a bank teller just to survive. Depression and anxiety pressed against her every day. Counseling offered brief relief, but never touched the deeper wounds. And yet, despite everything, something inside her slowly began reaching back toward faith, a small, steady voice that refused to disappear. Then came the turning point. In 1976, while driving to work early one morning, Joyce said she heard her name being called, not once but 3 times. She described the moment as overwhelming, filling the car with a presence that shook her to her core. That day became a spiritual awakening. The emptiness she felt began to fade, and she started praying with a new intensity. It was the moment that pushed her from being a believer to becoming a teacher. She started small. She gathered a few co-workers during lunch breaks and opened the Bible with them. Then she began Tuesday night Bible studies that quickly grew to 25, then 30, then far more. Soon she added Thursday afternoon meetings at a friend's house, which lasted more than 5 years. People came because she was honest, raw, and unpolished. She taught the struggles she lived through, not theories she memorized. By the early 1980s, she and her husband Dave Meyer joined Life Christian Center in Fenton, Missouri. Joyce started a women's Bible study at home, expecting a few attendees. Instead, 115 women showed up the first week. It soon grew to 500 weekly, Her energy and honesty caught the attention of Pastor Rick Shelton, who invited her to fill in on Sundays. In 1980, she became an associate pastor, a rare role for women at the time. Then, in 1983, she took the boldest step of her life, launching her own radio show, Life in the Word. It began on a single station in St. Louis, but soon it was airing across the Midwest, Chicago, Kansas City, and beyond. Her 15-minute segments went straight into the hearts of listeners, especially women who had been carrying trauma in silence. The show brought letters, phone calls, and testimonies from people who finally felt someone understood what they had lived through. In 1985, the demand for her teaching became overwhelming, and she resigned as associate pastor to form Life in the Word Ministries as an independent organization. It operated out of her home, fueled by donations, cassette tape orders, and prayer requests. Her husband Dave became the ministry's business manager, and together they began building something far bigger than they imagined. Her Battlefield of the Mind radio series became a phenomenon. More than 10,000 tapes sold in 1986 alone, and people said the teachings helped them sleep, heal, and think clearly for the first time in years. This series later became her best-selling book, Battlefield of the Mind, which sold more than 30 million copies and stayed on bestseller lists for nearly a decade. By the early 1990s, criticism began as her ministry grew. Some religious leaders accused her of preaching prosperity. Newspapers questioned her theology. But despite it all, she kept going. Then television changed everything. In 1993, at age 50, she stepped onto WGN-TV and BET with her show Enjoying Everyday Life. Within 2 years, it reached over 1 million people monthly. By 1997, it aired in 20 countries. Her ministry moved into a $20 million headquarters in Fenton, funded by tens of millions in donations. Her books, television shows, and conferences reached people across the world. Her humanitarian efforts grew too. After the 2010 Haiti earthquake, her ministry delivered $5 million worth of food, water, and medical supplies. They built homes in Miracle Village. She partnered with International Justice Mission to rescue over 1,000 victims of trafficking. She funded 100 adoptions for children who had survived abuse. Her ministry touched more lives than she could ever meet in person. But with success came controversy. Reports surfaced about expensive homes, a $10 million jet, luxury furniture, and the infamous $23,000 marble commode. In 2007, she became one of the 6 televangelists targeted in the Grassley Senate investigation. Unlike most, she fully cooperated. No illegal activity was found, but it forced sweeping financial reforms. Then came the Daystar scandal, the moment that reopened every wound she had ever survived. In 2024, journalist Julie Roys reported allegations that Joni Lamb, president of Daystar Television Network, had ignored sexual abuse claims involving her own granddaughter between 2020 and 2021. Joyce Meyer's past made this deeply personal. After almost 2 decades on Daystar, she couldn't ignore allegations involving a child. In January 2025, she pulled her programming from the network entirely. Behind the scenes, Daystar was collapsing under its own weight. Accusations of financial misconduct, a shocking $100,000 honeymoon charged to ministry funds, hidden payroll records, an explosive family conflict between Joni Lamb and her son, Jonathan Lamb. What had once been a trusted Christian network was suddenly drowning in scandal, and Joyce Meyer wanted no part of the chaos. She pulled Enjoying Everyday Life from the network and moved her broadcasts to TVN, Lifetime, and YouTube. Though she initially lost a portion of her longtime audience, her digital presence skyrocketed. Hundreds of thousands tuned in daily, and her devotional Discipline Brings Reward was downloaded over 400,000 times in a single week. Her message remained firm: stay honest, stay grounded. Even when the world turns turbulent. Today, Joyce Meyer stands in another defining season of her ministry. She has survived childhood trauma, toxic marriages, public scandals, financial investigations, and now the collapse of a network she once trusted. But she is still standing, still preaching, still reaching millions around the world. Her life is more than a testimony. It's a battle fought and a victory reclaimed, proving that no darkness is too deep to rise from. And for Joyce Meyer, this isn't an ending, it's a new beginning. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.